think it can depend on the nature of the suffering. I think for me, I think thanks to the practice, I've learnt enough that work has become a refuge. If it's a simple task, it can be actually a mindfulness refuge. If I can just do something physical and simple, then I think just coming back to that is actually very grounding, and it helps me look after my suffering. I think if it's something like, you're feeling stressed about the work, that's a bit more complicated, and then I will often, my best practice is to consciously take the time to stop, even just for a small break. But I think sometimes I found it really helpful to take a longer break, because it's often been my experience that when I'm stressed about work, it's because somehow the issues of the work have become, big in my mind. And often, like, having a proper break where I'm away from it and I, for a few hours I can't do anything about it, then when I come back I really have the fresh perspective, like, I know there were some problems there, but I can't really find them anymore, You kind of get that sort of reset. I think probably my practice is like, not strong enough that I can just take a short break and really experience that letting go. So a longer break is really helpful. And I notice another sort of suffering that comes up in work is often suffering about the relationships of the people I'm working with. And I think that's probably another common thing. And this one's, I think, the most tricky suffering to look after, because it's actually usually by the time the suffering's there, it's like it's because you really haven't been looking after the relationship. And actually all I can do at that point is really just notice that there's an issue here, that there's a problem, and that I've let things come to a point where it's actually really affecting me and my ability to work happily with the other person. And I think the process of repairing needs to start by sort of looking fresh at the person. And I think it can be difficult depending on how much stuff's got mixed up in that relationship, Like, actually, I really am a lot more careful these days to try and look after even the smallest things in my relationships, because I notice that when I don't take care of them when they're really small, often they become unmanageable really quickly. And so I think, like, we have this practice of beginning anew, but the stages are like, to appreciate the person. And it's not necessarily to sit down, but like I take the time in myself to recognize and appreciate what the qualities the person has. And I think I have a strong habit of looking at another person's weaknesses or shortcomings, or the things they're doing that I'm not happy with and how they're not supporting me. But I really now try and practice to see each person's like strengths and the things that they are bringing, and not try and constantly wish for them to be different, but like just to see everyone has something that they bring, especially in a big community, And actually, in a big community, there's really space for everyone to bring something different, which is really nice. And it makes this thing a lot easier. And and I think to try and keep the relationship fresh by having these positive interactions with the people you're working with, to taking the time to connect at a more heart level rather than just about the work, and let them know that the things you do genuinely appreciate about them. And then when something comes up that's either I've done something or they've done something, it's just a lot easier to resolve it. And in a warm, when you already have a warm relationship, if you don't have that, it's actually very difficult to repair things, and things can really, for me, my experiences, they can really quickly start snowballing small hurts start building up and it's difficult to recover. Yeah. So I think taking care of things when they're small is the wisdom I have about this. Yeah.